Alright, so nagbabalik tayo sa ating violin tips and tricks. And for today's video, let's talk about the violin as your first instrument. No? Ano ba yung mga dapat mo i-expect? Pros and cons of learning the violin first other than other musical instruments, and paano ba yung magiging journey mo when you start learning the violin. Okay, so fun fact about me, I didn't actually start learning the violin first. No, hindi siya yung first instrument na inaral ko when I was younger. So I started playing the piano when I was around 5 years old, no? Kasi sa family namin, there are a lot of pianists, no? Yung tita ko yung nagturo sa akin kung paano mag-piano. And then, I think hindi ako masyado nag-progress doon. And I started learning the violin like a year after I started playing the piano. No? So, hindi ako masyadong pinwersa or try na mag-piano talaga. So, I started to formally learn the piano when I was around 12 or 13 na. So, but basically, marunong na akong magbasa ng notes, no? When I started playing the violin, I already know how to read the G clef, no? Yung bass clef, marunong din ako. So, parang mas napadali para sa akin yung transition from going from piano to the violin. Now, if you want to start learning the violin as your first instrument, of course, you will need to learn how to read notes. Pero syempre, mas madali magbasa ng nota sa violin compared to other instruments. For example, sa piano. Like sa piano, you have to read two sets of notes, no? One for the left hand, one for the right hand. Now, sa violin, isa lang yung kailangan mong aralin. So, mas madali yung magiging progress mo doon. The thing about the violin is, ikaw yung gumagawa ng sarili mong sound. No? So, everything that you're doing, no, from the stroke to the way you press down into your fingers, is all based on your actions, on how you actually perform certain movements, certain actions. Yan. So, hindi katulad sa piano na pag pinindot mo yung key, nasa tono na siya. No? Tutunog na siya. You just need to control the volume, you need to control how hard you press. But aside from that, there are certain things na hindi mo na kailangang intindihin, no? But sa violin, of course, you have to have good ears then, no? When you start to learn that instrument, kailangan na di-distinguish mo, not necessarily perfect pitch ka, no, if you're starting out, but you can easily distinguish if you're high or low, tumataas or bumababa yung mga nota. Kasi pag hindi mo siya ma-distinguish, it would be hard for you to play in tune, no? Kaya yung iba, especially for beginners, whether you're young or old, kung medyo hindi ganun katalas yung ears natin, we use tapes, no, as guides para mas mapadali yung pag-play mo. Now, if you have good ears, may possibility na hindi mo na kailangan talaga maglagay ng tapes on your fingerboards, no? So, kung mas madali mo siya na-distinguish, no, you have the gift of it, for it, rather, and if wala naman, no, if you are really good, no, in training your ears, mas madali mo siya magagawa. But it's not really a requirement. Yun lang yung mga i-expect mo na medyo magiging mahirap when you're starting out, no. Another thing is the motions, no. As a first instrument, marami kasi talagang movements na hindi mo pa nagagawa before. Unlike sa ibang mga instruments, like when you sit down, no, how you sit, parang normal lang, no? For example, sa piano, pag umupo ka, parang normal na upo lang. Sa violin, pag umupo ka, hindi pwede yung normal na upo lang. Sa pag tumatayo ka, iba rin yung magiging posture mo. And of course, your hands, no? Wala naman taong naglalakad ng nakaganyan, lagi yan sinasabi. So, the movements, the motions, the actions that you are going to do is going to be a little bit tricky, no? Especially if you start a little bit later, no? Pag medyo adult ka na nag-start for your violin as your first instrument nga, medyo may mga movements ka na magagawa na hindi naman necessarily bad, but it affects your playing, no? Kasi kung mas bata ka magsa-start, no, you're still developing your skills, you're still developing fine motor skills and movements, mas madali nang i-apply, no? Kasi nga, as children, they're like sponges, na-absorb lang nila kung ano yung tinuturo sa inyo, sa kanila, and they just do whatever they are told, mas madali nilang nakukuha agad. No? But if you're starting out, first instrument mo, never kang nagkaroon ng background sa music, you should take note of that, na may mga movements na baka maapektuhan sa iba mo pang ginagawa. No? I had students before na I think nagsisports sila, for example, nagsisports, tapos parang may nagpipingpong, so nakakaapektuhan yung bowing niya. Laging gumagalaw yung elbows, for example, kahit na hindi naman kailangan. Because nasanay siya dun sa movement na yun. So you have to have this mentality of changing other things na tatanggalin mo yung hindi mo kailangan if you're starting out a little bit older. No? Yeah. So, pagdating naman kasi sa kahit ano namang instrument, no? If you're starting out, maraming feeling out period na kailangan mo pang masanay. And it's quite normal naman, no? So you don't have to be discouraged, but you have to expect it to happen. Yun yung importante doon, na maintindihan mo na mangyayari yun, but it will not last as long if you practice and you have proper guidance from a mentor or teacher, no? So another thing to consider is, ayun, nasabi natin sa pitch, no, when it comes to distinguishing notes, kasi nga yung fingers, the fine movements of your fingers, medyo mahirap sa iba, no? Na especially nga kung medyo mas matanda ka na nag-start, may mga movements na yung fingers na hindi mo agad makukuha, no? So, when you're starting to learn the violin, yung iba ine-expect nila magkakakaliw yung mga daliri, ganyan. Tapos may hirapan daw, but it's not actually that bad. Okay? Basta tama yung instrument mo, nakaayos yung instrument mo, and then you can press down properly, no? Na hindi masyado matigas yung bridge. And then, yun nga, sabi natin, you need to have good ears in order for you to distinguish the notes or the pitches. Mas madali mo siyang ma-adjust. And yun nga, meron namang fingertips na pwedeng gamitin if you're starting out talaga na nahihirapan ka. And gradually, as you progress in your craft, tatanggalin mo na rin naman yun, no? So, yun naman yung main concern if you're learning the violin as your first instrument. You need to have good ears. You need to have loose joints. Ayan, no? Kasi kailangan natin yung mga movements from the left hand and the right hand. And you also need good hand-eye coordination, or just good coordination in general with your regards to your body, no? Kasi magkaiba yung ginagawa ng left and right hand versus, for example, sa piano, parehas silang tumitipa, di ba? Or sa iba pang instrument na parehas yung ginagawa. Let's say, for example, sa mga wind instruments, lahat yan tumitipa lang. But for the violin, no, you have a bow on your right hand and you have to press down on the notes on your left hand. And everything else is controlled by you. Ikaw yung nagde-decide how hard you need to press, how loud you can get, how soft you can get. So marami kang pwedeng ayusin or pwedeng pakialaman or galawin in order for you to change the way you sound and the way you're playing, no? So yun yung titignan mo doon, no? So kung medyo nakaka-intimidate siya pakinggan, no? Well, it's not actually that bad if you could have good mentors or people who can guide you, no? Kailangan talaga. I personally really would suggest not picking the violin as your first instrument without also picking up an instructor, a mentor, or a teacher. Kasi hindi siya nga katulad ng ibang instrument like ng piano or ng guitar na pag tinama mo na yung pwesto ng kamay mo or ng daliri mo and then you strum, makakatugtog ka na agad, no? Because there are many things that you need to consider, like your bowing, bow stroke, bow movements, no? Sa left hand, yung pagtipa, stopping the strings, and also positioning it properly to avoid any frustrations na hindi ka natututo, to avoid na nahihirapan ka, no? Any struggles that might cause harm, no? May injure ka or whatever might happen to you. So, if you want to start with the violin, no? Yun, kailangan mo talaga kumuha ng mentor or teacher para mas madali yung progress mo. Kasi, di ba, it might sound a little bit intimidating for some, pero with proper guidance, mas madali mo siyang magagawa. So sana nakatulong tong video na to. If it did, please do drop a like, comment down below more content you'd like to see. And of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on all my socials. All the links you need down in the description box below. This has been Ryan Monakil for Violin Tips and Tricks, and I'll see you on the next video.